Chapter 7 Getting to Know Plants, Class 6th. Types of plants. There are a variety of plants around us. Different plants are suited to different conditions, different type of soils, and various water bodies such as rivers, lakes, ponds, and oceans. All these plants differ in their size, shape, strength, nutrition, habitat, and some other characteristics. Classification of plants. Let us see an activity to classify plants. Visit your school garden or a park in your neighborhood. Observe the differences between the height of plants, color of leaves, thickness and hardness of stem, presence or absence of flowers, and whether the branches start at the base or at some distance from the ground. Note down your plants are classified in different groups and classes. First classification is based on the presence or absence of flowers in a plant. Plants that bear flowers are called flowering plants. For example, rose, marigold, and tomato are flowering plants. Plants that do not bear flowers are called non-flowering plants. For example, ferns, mosses, and liverworts are non-flowering plants. Another way in which plants are classified is based on their size, the type of stem that they have, and the spread of branches. Based on their properties, plants are classified into three categories: herbs, shrubs, and trees. The comparison between herbs, shrubs, and trees given below. Characteristics. Size. Herbs are short plants with height less than 1 meter. Shrubs have medium-sized plants with height around 1 to 3 meter. Trees are tallest plants with height more than 3 to 4 meter. Nature of stem. Herbs have green and tender stem. Herbs have a few branches. Shrubs have hard and woody stem and are not very thick. Trees are having thick, hard, and brown stem, generally known as the trunk. Type of branching. In herbs, no branching is found. Shrubs have branches arising from the base of the stem, giving it a bushy appearance. Trees have branches that arise from upper part of the stem at some distance from the ground. Examples: herbs like mint, tomato, and spinach. Shrubs like rose, lemon, and hibiscus. Trees like neem, mango, and banyan. Banana plant is a herb, not a tree. The stem is green, tender, and long. Plants are also classified as creepers and climbers. Creepers. Sometimes the stem of a plant is weak and is not upright. It may spread on the ground, as in the case of pumpkin, watermelon, and cucumber. Such plants are called creepers. Climbers. Some plants that have weak stem take the support of their surrounding structures such as trees, walls, and railings and climb up. Such plants are known as climbers. Example of climbers include money plant, pea plant, and grapevine and grapevines. There are some other plants that do not fall into any of the following mentioned categories. These include moss, grass, and aquatic plants. Moss is a small non-flowering green plant that usually grows in damp and shady area. Grass is a short plant with long narrow leaves. It is generally seen as a carpet-like spread in lawns. Aquatic plants grow only in water and include water lilies, hydrilla, and tape grass. Parts of a plant. Different parts of plant perform different functions. There are two main parts of the plant: the root system, and the shoot system. The part of the plant that is generally present under the soil is called the root. It consists of the main root and many lateral roots. This forms the root system. The part of the plant above the soil is called the shoot. It consists of stem, branches, leaves, buds, flowers, and fruits. This forms the shoot system. All the parts of a plant are essential for keeping the plants alive. The root system. Go to the school garden and dig out any two weeds from the soil. What do you observe? You will observe the roots attached to the plants. There are two types of root system that are typically seen in plants: tap roots and fibrous roots. Let us see an activity to observe different types of roots. Go to nursery and ask for some grass and a mustard plant. Observe the roots of both plants. Do you find any difference? The roots of a mustard plant have the main root and many small branches come out from the main root. The root in grass is in the form of bunch of many strands. Taproot. When the radicle grows into thick primary root vertically downward and give off small lateral roots, it is known as taproot. This primary root may have small rootlets or root hair on its sides. Such root system is seen in rose, pea, dahlia, and gram. Fibrous roots. In fibrous roots, the radicle is short-lived and many root arises as a tuft from the base of the stem. These type of roots are known as fibrous roots. Such root system is seen in grass, maize, wheat, and rice. Functions of roots. The roots of a plant serve the following functions. It supports and holds the plant firmly to the ground. It is also responsible for absorption of nutrients from the soil. That is, it absorbs and conducts water and minerals. Let us see an activity to show that root absorb water and minerals from the soil. Materials required: 2 weeds, 2 pots, some soil, a digging tool that is khurpi, a pair of scissors, and water. Procedure: visit your school garden and choose 2 kinds of weeds. Dig them out of the ground, taking care that you do not damage the roots. Clean the mud from the roots by washing them with water. Now cut the roots from one plant with the help of pair of scissors. Plant both these weeds in the soil in 2 different pots. Label them as A, that is plant with roots, and B, that is plant without roots. Water both the pots regularly. Observe the plants for 8 to 10 days. What difference do you find in the plant roots after 10 days? Observation: you will observe that the plant in pot B is dying, whereas the plant in pot A is healthy. What do we conclude from this exercise? Roots are essential for keeping the plants healthy. This is so because roots absorb water and nutrients from the soil and transfer them to the upper part of the plants. Let us see another activity to show that root fix the plants in the ground. Materials required: we need a few seeds of gram, some cotton wool, 1 bowl, and some water. Procedure involved: in the 2 bowls, put some wet cotton wool. Place 3 to 4 gram seeds in the bowl. Sprinkle some water on the cotton every day to keep it wet until the seeds germinate and turn it into small plantlets. This will take around a week. After a week, try to separate the plantlets from the cotton wool. Do they separate very easily, or do you have to apply some pressure to pull them out? Thus, root provides anchorage to the plants, that is, they help in fixing the plants firmly in the soil. Modifications of roots. In addition to these primary functions, sometimes root also perform some other special functions depending on the requirement of the plant. To do so, the structure of root changes slightly. Such change are known as modifications. Root exhibit the following modifications. First, food storage. Sometimes plants store food for non-favorable conditions so that the plants uses this food when required. In such cases, food prepared in leaves travels down and gets stored in roots. These roots can be eaten or are called edible roots. Tap roots generally modify into such storage roots. For example, carrot, beetroot, radish, turnip, and sweet potato. Second, extra support. To support a weak stem or heavy branches, roots act as a pillar from and grow from the stem and branches to provide support. Such roots are called prop roots. For example, in a banyan tree, roots arise from a heavy branches and reach the ground. On reaching the ground, they become fixed. While in a maize plant, the thin stem gets support from roots that arise from the stem. These are called stilt roots. In plants such as black pepper and money plant, the roots help the weak stems to climb on a support. These roots are known as climbing roots. The shoot system. The stem is the main part of the shoot system. It is usually located above the ground and bears the branches, leaves, buds, flowers, and fruits. It forms the backbone of the shoot system. Let us see an activity to show that stem transport water. Take two white petunia flowers with a part of their stems. In a glass of water, add few drops of red ink. Put one flower with its stem in the glass undisturbed for 2 to 3 hours. Do you see any change in the color of flower? You will see that white flower is not white anymore and has taken up the red color of the water. If you cut the stem vertically with a blade, you will see red color inside the stem also. What do we infer from this? Here, this activity shows that water moves up to the flower through the stem. Thus, stem transports water and minerals from the roots to other parts of the plant. These materials are carried up the stem through these thin tubes called xylem. Similarly, another set of tubes in the stem called phloem is used for transporting food prepared by leaves to other parts of the plant. In addition to this, the stem also provides supports to other parts of plant such as leaves and flowers. Leaves are arranged in such a manner on the stem that they are well exposed to sunlight. Stem keep the plants upright. The stem is normally divided into two parts, nodes and internodes. Node, a point on a stem where a leaf, branch or bud arises is called a node. There are several nodes present on the stem. Internode, the portion of stem between two nodes is called an internode. Function of stems. A stem has two main functions. It keeps the plant upright. It helps in transportation of water, minerals and food to all other parts of plants. Modification of stems. In some plants, stems are modified to perform other functions. Support. In some plants, such as grapevine, stems have thread-like structures present on them called the stem tendrils. These tendrils coil around any rough surface they come in contact with and thus provide support to the weak stem of these plants. These tendrils are also modification in the structure of the stem. These are also called climbers or twinners. Storage. We know that roots are modified to store food. Similarly, in certain plants, stems are modified to store food. Such stems grow underground and serve as a source of food for the plant in unfavorable conditions. Examples of such stems are ginger, potato, and onion. Can you find features of stems such as leaves and nodes on these edible stems? Making food. In desert and other such places where there is a scarcity of water, the leaves are in the form of spines so that there is no loss of water through them. Here, the stem is modified to take over the function of making food. The stem in such plants are green and fleshy. Stems also store water in these conditions. Example of such plants are cactus and other desert plants. The leaf. Leaf is very important part of a plant. Leaves are flat, green structure present on the stem and branches. Observe the leaves of different plants. Are they all same or different in shape, color and size? Make a table and record your observation in the table. The flat, broad part of the leaf is called lamina. Different types of plants have differently shaped laminas. The lamina is attached to the stem. The lamina is attached to the stem with the help of small stalk called petiole. Observe the leaves closely. You will see some lines running through them. These are called veins. You will also observe a thicker line or vein in the middle. This is called the midrib. The veins are responsible for the transfer of water and minerals in the leaves. Veins are arranged in the specific patterns on a leaf. This arrangement of veins on a leaf is called venation. There are two types of venation, parallel venation and reticulate venation. Parallel venation. When veins run parallel to each other from petiole to the tip of the leaf, the arrangement is called parallel venation. Leaves with parallel venation include grasses, cereals, and bananas. Reticulate venation. When a leaf has a main vein running through the center that gives rise to several small veins, the venation is called reticulate venation. Leaves with reticulate venation include peepal, mango, and hibiscus. Function of leaves. A leaf serves many important functions. The main function of leaf is to prepare food for the plant. It is known as food factory of the plant. Green plants prepare their own food by process called photosynthesis. In this process, green plants use carbon dioxide present in the air along with water and minerals from the soil to produce their own food in the presence of sunlight. Sunlight is absorbed with the help of chlorophyll, a green pigment present in the leaves. The food prepared by the leaf is in the form of glucose. It is stored in different parts of the plant in the form of starch. Oxygen gas is evolved during this process. The photosynthesis reaction can be given as follows: carbon dioxide plus water in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll gives you glucose and oxygen. The exchange of gases during photosynthesis is facilitated by small pores present in the lamina of leaves. These pores are called stomata. During photosynthesis, carbon dioxide enters through the stomata and oxygen is released through stomata. Let us now perform a simple activity to show that starch is produced during photosynthesis. Activity to show that starch is produced during photosynthesis. Materials required: a green leaf, alcohol, beaker, burner, iodine solution, petri dish, and water. Method: pluck a healthy leaf from well watered plant. Place this leaf in a test tube and pour some alcohol on it such that the leaf is completely immersed in the alcohol. Now put this test tube in a beaker half filled with water. Put the beaker on the burner and heat till all the color in the leaf bleeds out. Now take out the leaf and wash in water. Place the washed leaf in petri dish containing iodine solution. What do you observe? The leaf turns blue-black, indicating the presence of starch. Let us see another activity to show that light is necessary for photosynthesis. Materials required: a potted plant, a beaker, some iodine solution, alcohol, burner, black paper, and petri dish. Keep a method. Keep a potted plant in a dark room for 2 or 3 days so that it completely uses its stored starch. Now cover some part of the leaf with a strip of black paper and take the plant back to the sunlight and leave it for 4 to 5 hours. Remove the paper strip from the leaf and perform the test for starch on this leaf as done in previous activities. What do you observe? Which part of the leaf show presence of starch and which does not? The leaf turns blue-black except in the portion that was covered by the black strip. This shows that Starch was produced only in the area where photosynthesis process have taken place, or you can say where there is a presence of sunlight. Another important function performed by leaf is called transpiration. Transpiration is a loss of water in the form of vapors from the aerial part of the plant. This helps in keeping the plants cool. When leaves transpire, the roots pull more water from the soil to compensate for that loss. Along with this water, important nutrients are also absorbed by the roots and transported to upper parts of the plant. This process of transpiration also play a vital role in the water cycle by adding water content to the atmosphere. Let us see an activity to show that plant transpire. Materials required: a well watered plant, two transparent plastic bags, and some tape. Method: tie a transparent plastic bag around the plant and place it in sun. Tape the mouth of second plastic bag and keep it also in the sun. Observe after an hour. What do you observe? You will be able to see, you will be able to see water droplets on the inner side of plastic bag. Modification of leaves. Like other parts of plants, leaves also sometimes modify to perform some special functions other than those mentioned above. In some plants, such as cactus, that basically grow in desert area where there is a scarcity of water, leaves are modified into spines. This is done to reduce the loss of water from the leaves due to transpiration. This also acts as a defense mechanism of plants to prevent animals from eating them. In such cases, the stems take over the function of the leaf and perform photosynthesis. Hence, the stem in cactus plant is capable of carrying out the process of photosynthesis. In some insectivorous plants, such as pitcher plant, the leaf is modified to form a pitcher for capturing insects. Insectivorous plants are found in growing regions where the soil is deficient in nitrogen. To make up the deficiency, they have developed various methods of trapping insects and feeding on them for nitrogen. These plants, however, can also prepare their own food through photosynthesis. In some other plants, the tip of leaves are modified into tendrils to provide extra support to the plant. For example, garden pea. Flower. How do we generally recognize a plant? By its leaves or by absence or presence of flowers. Flowers are the most attractive part of plant. A flower may have fragrance. Flowers are also the reproductive organ of flowering plant. Flower produce seeds that can germinate to produce a new plant of the same kind. A flower develops from the bud. It usually lives for a short time and then develops into a fruit. Fruit bears seeds which then planted in soil and can grow into new plants. Let us see an activity to observe different types of flowers. Observe different plants around you. Classify them as flowering and non-flowering ones. Now observe the flowering plants. Do the flowers of all plants have the same size, shape, color and smell? Draw a table in your notebook and classify plant based on the shape, size, color and smell of the flower. Structure of a flower. A flower is made up of different parts: sepal, petals, stamens, and pistil. Sepals are the outermost layer of flower. They protect the flower in the bud stage. They are usually green in color. Inside the sepals, you will see a layer of brightly colored modified leaves. These are called petals. They can be on various shapes and sizes and may also have a fragrance. Inside the petals, you will see a long stick like thin structures. These are called stamens, the male reproductive parts of flower. The upper flat part of the stamens is called the anther, and a long stalk is called the filament. At the center of the flower is the female reproductive part of the flowers called pistil. It is in the shape of flax. The lower swollen portion is called ovary. The tube-like middle part is called style and the uppermost part is called the stigma. Inside the ovary, there are small bead-like structures called ovules. In some plants, Where the flower matures, it transforms into fruits and the ovules becomes the seeds. The flower is attached to the stem by a stalk. It is also called pedicel. The upper part of the pedicel is generally swollen and is called thalamus. Pollination. Pollination is the transfer of pollen grains from the anther to the stigma. When the pollen reaches the stigma of the same flower or another flower of same plant, it is called self-pollination. When the pollen reaches the stigma of a flower on another plant, it is called cross-pollination. Pollination is often facilitated by agents such as insects, birds, wind, and water. To attract pollinators such as insects and birds, flowers may be brightly colored and have fragrance. Thank you very much.